We're back with another episode of Behind the Rise.
The week starts on Sunday.
Business, it's like you're all you're doing is like moving the goalposts all the time.
So it's the same idea of like, how do you build someone's confidence? You stack momentum wins and you have less mistakes.
You do what you say you're going to do every day. You work on your body, you work on your health, you work on your fitness. Those little things is what built momentum.
But once you pick up on it, you're like, whoa.
All right, we're back with another episode of Behind the Rise. We're going to do a little Q&A session here. We got no idea what Costa's going to ask, so let's get the ball rolling.
All right, let's do this. So we're filming this on Saturday, and one of the topics I wanted to talk about is how do you avoid losing momentum on the weekends?
Ooh.
Personally or business?
Both, business-wise and just personally.
So I can tell you what I've been doing recently. So I've been making sure I keep my routine, like my Monday through Friday routine, even on Saturday and Sunday. So like this morning when I worked out, I do like I lift Monday through Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday I do cardio. Like I go for a run and slash walk with my dog. So but I keep it at the same exact time. So that has been really helping me. So like I keep my like alarm clock like going at the same time Monday through Sunday. So I make sure I'm getting up, I'm doing my morning like prayer, meditation, writing, like journaling, and then I'll go for my run, come back, have breakfast, and do my thing. So that's been really helpful.
Absolutely. Definitely have to keep all the controllables the same, right? Especially diet. Like
Yes.
the week starts on Sunday.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times have you eaten like shit on Sunday? Especially us, Sunday dinner, and you overdo it, and by the time you recover, it's Tuesday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Versus if you keep your diet tight over the weekend, you just fly right into Monday.
Yeah, that's a pro tip. Anytime I've ever like started a diet, I always do it on either starting on Saturday or Sunday. So by the time you're in Monday, you're in a little bit of routine, you feel a little bit better. So that's a good one. Diet, keeping your exercise routine, even if it's modified, if it's like a recovery type diet, but workout, but still do it. And then making sure what you eat is dialed in. Don't just eat like shit and you lose all your progress for the week in those 2 days.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think just kind of staying busy, don't just say like, okay, it's the weekend, I'm just going to like sit home and not do shit all day. Like just kind of keep busy, keep your routine. Definitely think the morning's going to be the most important. Like, yeah, maybe you can sleep in an extra 30 minutes or 45 minutes and usually do in the week, during the week, but keep your routine, work out in the morning. And then once that happens, the rest of the day kind of keeps, a flow.
Yeah. And as far as business, like keeping like momentum, it's hard, if our business is different because we're 7 days a week in the restaurant business. So there's always things going. But for a business that's Monday through Friday, it's tough. I think just really maybe on Sunday, you're planning, your Monday. So you're going in the week hot. That's probably something that you could do. Always just be planning for the week ahead, right? You don't want to show up Monday morning with no plan for the week.
Yeah, for weekend stuff, I feel like you can do a lot like maintenance stuff that maybe you couldn't do during the week.
Maintenance is a new word.
Is that a new word?
I don't think
word?
that's a word.
Somebody looked that up
That's
in the
not a word.
vocabulary.
It's on an Urban Dictionary.
It's a solid word.
But like shit that you couldn't really do during the week, but like if you needed more time to really just like sit in a flow state, like in a calmer setting, and just like really like think about something maybe earlier in the week you wanted to do, or an idea that you had that you need to iron out. Like I feel like the weekends are really good for that because you're in more of a flow state, you're in more of a relaxed state. You're not necessarily in an office setting. You're just, more of that flow.
Yeah.
You can kind of iron out those ideas, iron out those new services or that whatever you want to do in 2024 or next month or next week. You take the weekends to really like think it through, make it more thorough.
You can stay ahead. I mean, when you're working Saturday, I love for Saturdays, I feel like are the most productive days for me because I know no one else is doing shit. It's like one extra day in the calendar that you're getting ahead while everybody else is dicking around,
There's no doubt about it that people that, it's just like pure math. People that take off 2 days compared to people that work 7 days a week, what is it at the end of the year? How many extra days do you get at the end of the year?
Yeah.
I don't know what the number is, but it's a lot. Like you were just statistically in a better advantage compared to someone else if you're kind of going that route.
Yeah, and if you do have family time scheduled on the weekend, make it like quality family time, right? Because that helps you like go into Monday like feeling good, feeling like I like the past few like months on Sundays when we're spending time at mom's house, like eating dinner with the kids and stuff. I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm like fully present like with the kids and everything, and that makes me feel better going into Monday.
I think the weekends is really important to unclutter your head. Like it's so important. People think that that's necessarily not like a productive thing to do, but it is. When you unclutter the stuff that you're thinking about.
And how
during
do
the
you
week.
unclutter?
With going on like a nature walk, or like being in some sort of state that's not necessarily busy, like your environment is just more like still,
Yeah.
and you're just doing something that's mindless, but it's still for you. That kind of gets your mind uncluttered. Like again, when we go on like a vacation, or let's say Lucho's like calm on a Sunday, idea flows start to happen, right? Like more shit starts to flow because you're so uncluttered. It's like literally moving things around to let new ideas.
Yeah, dude, there's definitely something to, like, we made it like a mandatory family plan. Again, COVID fucked us up, but before then, you know, we didn't vacation. We didn't take one vacation for like 12 years straight. When we got into the restaurant, we literally didn't. Then we took that one vacation to Aruba, that 1 week, and we've still been like chasing that feeling. But that time that we were there, literally, because you're like from 30,000 feet looking back, because you're not in the day to day like you're talking about, right? There's not like everything moving. You see things more clearly when you remove yourself from the environment, right? So during that time was like a really, like, you're unplugged from everything that was happening back home. You can really step back and look at it from 30,000 feet, and it, like, when you're away from it, you feel like you can do anything. Like you can, like when I go back, I can move this piece, move that piece,
chess,
you know, like play chess. So that's the type of mentality you want to have, you know, pretty much all the time when you're building a business. Is if you can separate yourself from the day to day in order to think that way, that's when you really start making like huge jumps.
I feel like I have like my best ideas and stuff nowadays, like when I'm on a nature walk, or I'm sitting at a dog park and just kind of like watching the dogs run around, or if I'm like on a treadmill, just kind of mindlessly walking. For some reason, I'll just kind of just be thinking about like random stuff, but not as much pressure, just general thoughts. And then all of a sudden, like these ideas will just start to flow, you know? And I feel like a lot of like rappers, singers, and artists, they talk about this more. They have to get in this certain state to get these ideas to be creative. I think it's the same for business owners. You know, you have to get into a certain state to start getting that flow.
Yeah.
But again, it's not vacation, right? It's just trying to getting yourself in a more relaxed state,
Right.
to then get that to flow. But it's not saying like, oh, the weekend's take a vacation. You know, it's different.
Yeah.
The car is a good place for that too if you're just driving.
100, yeah.
Oh yeah. I'll literally just drive and just be thinking and end up like 20 exits down the highway. You know? All right. Next question.
All right, so especially early off starting in business, you're kind of figuring out things as you go. And even now, probably still entrepreneurs are figuring out things as they go. But in the beginning, you're probably dealing with a lot of insecurities. Now that you kind of achieved some success, you have businesses, multiple ones that are doing pretty well. How do you get rid of those old insecurities that you might have had in the beginning that are no longer really there now?
They go away naturally, because as you start having success, you start getting confident and you start building momentum. Like I never think back to like anything like in the past. I'm always, you know, we learn lessons and we learn from them and then move to the next step. So business, it's like you're all you're doing is like moving the goalposts all the time. So as long as your eyes are always on like what's next, you don't have time to think about what was behind, you know? So I never really had that insecurity fear that you're talking about. Like even in the beginning when we opened the restaurant, I was 22. I was turned 23.
Are you talking more like imposter syndrome? Like
Just
versus
like
fear?
Yeah, you might, maybe in the beginning of business, you're not as strong as a leader, and that's something like you struggle in. But now with like over time, you've gotten better at doing that specific skill. But in your mind, maybe sometimes you're still like, thinking of that old self that you were. Like, how do you get rid of that, like pulling you back down?
I have a kind of answer to that. So it's really psychology. So when you're in the beginning, the fear stems from you making mistakes, because that naturally what happens in the beginning. As you get older in business, you start making less mistakes, and then that's what fills your confidence is executing properly and not making the same mistakes over and over again. Because when you make the same mistakes over and over again, it fills yourself with more doubt. But once you have a mistake, fix it, and then the less mistakes you start making are all these minute wins that builds the confidence. So it's the same idea of like, how do you build someone's confidence? Well, you stack momentum wins, and you have less mistakes. So as you're older, you just typically make less mistakes because of your experience.
Yeah.
And usually when doubt kicks in is when you start making those mistakes again. And then that self-doubt kind of makes that loop around. So I think it's like a psychology thing. It's like, okay, the less mistakes you made, the more confident you are.
Yeah.
The more mistakes you make, the more self-doubt and all that other shit kind of comes in.
It's an internal game, right? It's the daily disciplines. Like every day, if you do what you say you're going to do every day, you work on your body, you work on your health, you work on your fitness. Those little things is what builds momentum. It's not necessarily for me anyway, making a decision like in the business and it's like, oh, either that was a good one or that was a bad one. It's every day doing what I said I'm going to do, the daily disciplines, you're sharpening the knife every day. So I feel that when you're jumping into any environment, I'm ready for this. You know, my sword is sharp and I got my armor on. You know what I mean? There's nothing I can't handle, but that takes time to build little by little by little by little.
Yep.
Some people have it naturally than others. Like some people are just like they just have this like oblivious faith of their own confidence.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like some people just built with it. And some people have more. That self-doubt could be the way you grew up, could be your culture, who fucking knows.
It could be something somebody said to you when you were like 4
exactly.
and you don't even know what happened.
Yeah, so I'll tell you, like with us, one of the reasons that we were lucky, like we didn't, I don't think any of us ever like questioned anything about taking like the leap to entrepreneurship or to be a leader. Like we were born and bred to be entrepreneurs, to be like business owners and leaders. Like our parents instilled with that in us since we were like literally born, that we were going to work for ourselves in one way or another. It was never even like a consideration for 1 second that we were just going to go get a job and work like a regular career. So we were lucky in that regard that it was built in us from like a very, very young age. It was literally never a consideration. I don't even think 1 minute of my life or 1 second of my life did I ever consider, like when I was in high school or college or anything like that, if I was going to like get a job. And it was always, I was working on like what business plan I was going to do when I graduated.
We were always leading other people too without even knowing it. Like, I think when you were like 15, 16, like you had your own little crew.
Right.
When I was 18, 19, I had a crew of literally of inmates on the bypass crew.
Right, exactly.
And I didn't realize that my father planted me there to kind of, keep everybody in line. But naturally, I was actually a pretty good leader looking back on it with those guys. We were fucking moving fast. We were getting shit done.
Exactly. That's true. So, I mean, we were very, very lucky that we were born that way. But I've seen a lot of parents interact with their kids and they put the fear of God in them, like
stability,
stability,
conservative,
right,
safe,
so you got to do a lot of work within yourself if you grew up that way, I think, to break that barrier. Right. But again, the only way to eliminate it is to have confidence by building wins, like you were talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm. What would you say to somebody that has parents that aren't into entrepreneurship and don't really understand that, but this person wants to get into that realm?
It's tough, dude. I have friends of mine, like especially our friends we grew up with. It is tough, dude, because, and I don't want to discredit it, the people that have those type of parents and get out and become successful, I have the utmost respect to, because it is tough, dude. They were ingrained. Their mind was shifted completely different than we were. To get through that is very difficult. Can it be done? 100%.
Right, that's the subconscious mind.
Yeah,
but
I'll give you an example of that. So we had a sales rep for one of our companies, and it was a commission only job, right? But it was potentially high commission, and he wanted this kid wanted so bad to like control his own destiny, take this opportunity, and grow it. But his parents were literally telling him, no, you need to take. It was a job that was going to pay like $90,000 a year. And the kid's young, like right out of college. So it was like a really good job paying like $90,000 a year. Or he wanted to take a chance and do this. And I was telling him, like, listen, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but you're young. Now's the time to take a risk. If you're going to do it, like this, you can make hundreds of thousands of dollars. You can always get that job that's paying you 90. You know, like right now, somebody like you, you can get that money. Mm-hmm. So we had a scheduled Zoom call with me and his parents. In the kid.
Oh, I remember that kid, yeah.
Yeah, so, and I literally had to like explain to them like what the opportunity was, why I thought it was good for him, all that. But his parents were literally like, we were having a debate. It was like a nice conversation, but think about that. So that kid was born with that ingrained into him. And even when he wanted to make the leap, I literally had to convince the parents to let this kid take this chance.
And I don't think he ended up working out at the end.
No, he ended up
yeah, he did for a little bit, but then like as soon as it started getting shaky, like where money wasn't coming in.
He got consumed by like
exactly, because you have that like beating over your head. They're looking at you saying like, where's the money? Where's the money? And but that's the level that you need to break. So you need to break that off.
He made like $40,000 in a summer.
Yeah,
some fucking crazy, and he still couldn't believe it.
Go ahead.
But the biggest actionable thing, like if you want to talk about actionables, you have to be self-aware of it. Like you have to have enough awareness to understand, okay, this is what's happening. Okay, my parents are like that. To then even be open-minded to be exposed to people like us. Mm-hmm. So first you need to be self-aware of what's happening. somehow, shape, or form, something has to wake you up to like, oh, wait a minute, maybe this isn't the way it 100% should be. And then you need to be exposed around people who are. For example, there's one of my friends who I help him start a moving company. He literally didn't understand the possibilities of things.
Mhm.
He couldn't even wrap his head around certain money that he could make.
Yeah.
In
It's a
his
lot of
head,
exposure, right? there.
in his head was just, I'm going to make $100,000 a year doing this, or I'm going to make $50,000 a year doing that. I'll be a bartender, whatever. He wasn't even exposed to the possibilities of how to get things done. So you need to be exposed to people who've done it and to be in those type of circles to even like fathom the idea that it can be you.
Yeah.
So the 2 steps, 1, be self-aware, and 2, get around the people that you trust or the people that have done it, so you can be exposed to that lifestyle that, oh, wait a minute, I have the faith in myself that I even can be that person,
Right.
Yeah.
or I can make that money.
Yeah, and then when you do get around, like, let's say you're that person, you do get around people who are like entrepreneurs and they have taken that risk, you realize very quickly that they're the same as you, like those people, right? It's not like they're Superman with like a cape and like they're not susceptible to negative things or like they're indestructible. You realize that they're people just like you or I, right? So it's like that gives you the confidence to say like the only difference here is his mindset, right? The only difference between like you and me is that, you know, your mindset might be better than mine, right? And you have the confidence in yourself. So once you kind of realize that, you know, that it helps, I think that it could help you get the confidence to take that leap.
And that doesn't just go from people who aren't exposed to it. That goes from even successful folks. When we talk to a man who just sold his company for $1.5 billion, like when I was talking to the guy who owned Freshly, I was like, this guy is not fucking smarter than you or I.
Right.
Right. That's my point. Exactly.
You talk to another guy who sold a company for $115 million, another one who sold his company for $350 million, the Factor guy. It's like you talk to these guys and you're like,
I'd kick this guy's ass.
yeah, or yeah, I'll kick this guy's ass. But you're even looking at these guys as like, so like, what did you do here? Like, how did you guys get in there? The way they say it is like, I don't even know, dude. Like it just happened.
I
or I was making
specifically
mistake-
remember the one with the I think it was, I don't know, one of those big, the billion or the 350 million. He just said basically all you do is when a bottleneck appears, you untie that bottleneck. And that's it. One bottleneck at a time. You just keep fixing problems as they come, and then you just keep moving. There's no big,
there's no secret.
there's no huge master plan. You
And-
just fix shit as it comes.
And then I would like we would always mimic some of the stuff that they were doing on their website and stuff. And then when you talk to them, they're like, we don't know what the fuck we were doing.
Yeah,
we were
what are you talking about?
we just
Yeah.
we just
Yeah.
tested. They're like, you were following us. Like, we didn't even know what the fuck we were doing. It actually majorly failed. We were like,
Right.
fuck.
Right. And
Yeah.
then when they took a look at our business, they were like, you guys are doing the same that we were doing, if not better at that stage. So it gives you the confidence to say like, shit, there isn't this like magic pill or secret sauce that these other guys have. They just did more of it. They just, you know, put their foot down more and they just put more gas in the fire.
A lot of it is, and I've been saying this for a while, some of these mega rich guys, they're not smarter than you or I. They just picked an industry at a time that just clicked and made sense. They're in a very, very high margin business, a business that's easier to scale than others, because there's definitely businesses and markets and industries that are easier to scale than others. Does that discredit what they're doing? No. But you cannot deny the fact that there are some industries that are just easier to scale and the margins are a little bit higher, so you can grow with more staff because you can pay them.
Right.
So, you know, once you see these people, you're like, what the fuck? This developer is the dumbest guy I've ever met, but he has
Right.
fucking 200 million in real estate and he makes, 30 million a year,
Right.
Steve Jobs, what you're saying right there is like one of my favorite quotes. Steve Jobs said, the world becomes very different once you realize that everything around you was made up by people no smarter than you, and then you have the ability to shape it, change it, or do anything.
Yeah, that's a good
That's
one.
a fucking great
Yeah,
quote.
that's exactly what it is. You know, and that goes back to what we talked about last week. It's like the ones who like are super successful, their secret sauce was not giving up when things were tough and pushing through it, right? And the ability to be, to take punches and keep going. That's literally the difference. So like even if they're in like this high margin industry, they were facing a shitload of adversity throughout the process, but they just kept pushing through it, pushing through it, pushing through
Not
it.
seeing limitations either.
Exactly.
If
Not
you're
limiting your mind.
blind to limitations, all you see is possibility.
Right.
There comes a point in time when you realize exactly what you just said, that I'm a person just like friggin' Michelangelo was, or any of these like super badass people from the past, and you realize anything's possible. It's as simple as that. Like, that guy's no different than me. I could do it too.
Yeah.
I could create my world however I want to.
Exactly. And you know what? It's ignorance is bliss, right? Like, because if you start
So big.
overthinking everything, like this can happen, that can happen, that's when you start fucking yourself. But if you just have this limitless belief that like
Right.
you just go, like there's nothing you can't do.
There's no point to think about the negative part.
Exactly.
But unless
you
you're
got to know your
fucking-
risks. You got to know your risks to
Yeah.
a certain degree, but you can't be an idiot about it. But
yeah,
I
so like
don't
my
know,
thing
though,
is
dude.
I am so fucking aware of everything that's going on that like if this happens, that happens, then you start to try to hedge your bets and like mitigate your losses. But the people who make it,
Yeah.
and you just say like, oh, this guy's like a dumb bastard. It's because
He's ignorant.
he's ignorant to like what could possibly happen negatively. So he just fucking goes.
But focusing on that, like that subconscious negative system that you create, that you have right naturally, because that kind of goes back to the original question, right? Which was, how do you work yourself out of those subconscious behavior from your parents at a young age? Like, how do you change your state when you're going down a negative path?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, what it's repetition, right? That's
Right.
the only way.
Right.
It's little by little. I have these things on my wrist that say no excuses.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime I'm being a bitch about something, I look at it and it just changes my state. I need to stop being a bitch.
That's a good one.
You know, so it's, I think the only way to rewire your subconscious mind and to believe and to see less limits and to be less negative or whatever your issue is from the past is it's repetition and changing those little habits and those little triggers little by little.
It's like anything, dude. You're not gonna get jacked if you don't work out. You know, it's all it all aligns. God made it that way for a reason.
Do you know what's kind of crazy too? At the end of every podcast, when we have like a guest on, what's the final question like for the audience? You usually ask people.
What's like your best piece of advice that you've received that you could pass on?
Yeah, and I feel like every time you ask that, the person gives the answer. Like super successful people, the answer is like pretty basic. They're just like, just keep going, and do this.
Don't give up.
Mhm.
Right.
So it's
Everyone's
just, like,
expecting like
right.
this piece of knowledge that's gonna like again like fucking strike their dick and just like
Mhm.
whoa
Mm-hmm.
and just like whoa.
Yeah.
You know? But in reality, it's just like okay, just keep working what you're doing and
Just keep working.
fighting through it. Yeah.
And don't quit.
Don't
Right.
quit.
You don't lose. It's not a loss until you quit.
That's a fact.
Right.
All right, let's talk about the personal development industry. And specifically, do you think that there is a thing of too much personal development?
Absolutely.
Well,
For me, yeah. Like if you have, depends what you're trying to develop, right? Like if you're someone with anxiety, like if you're talking about the anxiety world, like me, when I wake up and I'm like, okay, I gotta do this routine, I gotta do this night routine, and then just add on all this stuff. My mind is so aware that I'm doing that to try to get rid of my anxiety that it almost, my mind's like, what are you trying to do here? Like, you're not going to try to bullshit me.
Right.
So the least I do there, like if I just do a couple things, but it's not like overboard, it doesn't add to it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like in the morning, if I'm like, oh, I got to wake up, I got to pray. Okay, I'm going to pray, and then I'm going to journal. Okay, I'm going to journal. And then after that, I'm going to read for 20 minutes. Okay. And it's all to just distract myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then my mind picks up on it and it just makes my
Right. And it
anxiousness
kind of hurts
worse.
you too. It's like weighing yourself almost.
Yeah, 'cause it's-
you're like, okay, I'm gonna do this,
it's
and then you don't do it, and then it has a negative effect on yourself.
Exactly.
You're subconscious.
You're
like,
adding this
chipping
weight
away
on
at
your
you.
shoulders to like do all these things. And if you don't, or even if you do over, I don't know, like it just feels kind of
Yeah.
heavy.
If you notice like what everyone is saying, all the different people like in personal development, they're all saying the same things. It's all just they're
Yeah.
saying it in with their own words in different
Yeah.
ways. But it's a pretty simple formula. You just got to do it. That goes
Mhm.
back to like the analysis by paralysis. Like you just got to fucking do it. Like at this point in my life, like I know it all, right? Like as far as like that goes, like I know what to do. It's
Right.
just you got to just do it. At some point, you just need to do it, and nobody can do it for you. You just
Mhm.
have to do the action. Now, you still got to work on it every day. It's like a muscle. That's how I think. It's like your mindset and your brain is literally like a muscle. Like if you don't train your biceps are going to shrink. It's the same thing, I think,
Mhm.
with that. So if you can find like, one thing that you just watch all the time and you're always just like restudying it, it's like keeps it top of mind to just keep practicing it and keep, and practice what you preach, you
Yeah.
know? But, that's what I think it is. It's like, if you start like, there's not like going to be like this new thing that like someone
Right.
comes out with that's like different.
That's
you know?
a good point though. Like I found that people who are super successful, like in these groups that I've been in, you said like, and it goes back to, is there too much personal development? Like, do you need to be reading 10 books a week, all different ones? You know, at the end of the year, you read 100 books, all in personal development. I don't think so. You know, find the 3 that you resonate with and read those ones over and over and over and over and over and keep those things top of mind. You don't need 300 books to do it.
Exactly.
That's a great point, dude. That's a great point. I read so many fucking books, and the one book I loved, because when you read a book, you can read it 10 times, you get new things over that same book.
Exactly.
You know
Every time you read it at a different stage of life, you perceive it differently.
I did what you do. I read like fucking like so many books. At the end, I don't even remember and I highlight shit.
What did you read? Yeah.
What the fuck did I even read? But then the 1 or 2 books I liked, the ones I kind of remember the most from, if I just went back and just reread that motherfucker again, like I would get a lot from it.
That's a great point. Yeah,
overconsumption.
This kind of piggybacks off that question, but as you're talking about there with like the online gurus and the personal development preaching, how do you filter through information with now that there's the internet, people are saying this and that and how to do this and YouTube? Like, how do you filter through to actually know who to listen to?
Do you want, can I go on that?
Go ahead.
I think it's the same idea. So what Lucho talked about is like reading the same book, right? If you try to like take so much information from so many different people, it clutters your brain because a lot of their information is so different. So why not pick 1 or 2 people that you actually understand who they are, what they've done, you understand their credibility? Because if everyone looks at that person different for different reasons, if I see someone who overcame anxiety and became an entrepreneur and, you know, was in an industry that I respect and whatever, and has an amazing family, that's someone that I want to resonate with. I'd rather just pick that guy's brain, look at that guy's content rather than looking at 100 different people and trying to consume bits and pieces from every different person. Take 1 to 3 that you actually like and resonate with because you know their background, because you trust what they're saying, and then kind of go from there. I think that's what I would say.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Like, find somebody out there that you really respect, and they went through a path that you're kind of on, and that they now have the success or the life that you want to live, right? And follow that person, you know, and stick with them and try to get close to them and try to, you know, consume as much of that content as possible. But that's exactly what I would say.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I also think you have a feeling when you see the right person that you really connect with, like there's just you resonate with them more than others and you gravitate towards them. Stick with them, but don't just watch their content. Study what they're doing every single day. What time do they wake up? What are they doing in the afternoon? What are they doing on the weekends?
Yeah.
Study their habits. And you can do that now with Instagram. Everything's on people's stories, right? So follow closely. Don't just consume the headline content and really try and get to know what that person is doing and get into their shoes.
Want to know why that's tough though a little bit? So like yours is clearly Andy Frisella, right? Like for Angelo.
Yeah,
that's
my 2 is Andy Frisella and Eric Spofford.
That's like your like spirit animals.
Mm-hmm.
This is the issue I have kind of with that is mine's Ed Milet's, right? And the reason why I like him because his leading tactic, he truly leads with like love. And like you could tell he's a warm body person. Like he leads with more his soul and he has a lot of empathy and he's an empath like more I am. But I don't necessarily 100% love how he got rich. Like love how he got his money in that like in insurance, like kind of like MLM style stuff. And it's kind of interesting because I realized that recently. Like I used to love his stuff and I do love his stuff. But then when I see how he got the money, I'm like, wait a minute.
Listen, Ed, if he picked selling like women's shoes, he would have still become at the same spot. Right. Then no matter what he did, that was just the company. That's just like what his like foundation was built on. That's just what he got into. But no matter what he did, he was successful. Even when we were talking to him, when we were going to do that business with him, you know, that guy had a motor, you know, like he just was going, he was on top of everything, you know, and you can just tell that's just how he is. Yeah. So I think it's more about like the attributes of the person, not necessarily what their business was. Right. Like even Andy and Eric, they're in different businesses that we are, but they could have done any other business and been just as successful. Yeah. You know, I mean, obviously you got to be in one that's scalable and has the right margins, all that stuff that we always talk about, but it doesn't matter what they do, they're going to be successful at it because they have that mindset in that routine and everything about them, the personality, all that you want to emulate.
Yeah. You could pick and choose from different people too, right? Like you like that specifically about Ed. You like the way he leads with passion and love and whatever. You take that from him. You can maybe find another person that you like the way he executes or whatever the hell it is, and you put together your own version of who you want to be.
Yeah, that's like, for example, I love what Andy has done and how he's scaled his company.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm more impressed with his professional work career and how he built his bones.
Mm-hmm.
That's, to me, is like, dude, 0 to billion from scratch.
That's the
with
goat.
0, he's the GOAT. Like,
With no investors.
with no invested in an unbelievable culture. Like, that is what every business owner should emulate. But the way that Ed speaks and how he like truly relates and just how he can articulate thoughts and how he can articulate different people, I like majorly admire. So it's like, you're right. It's almost kind of the blended two.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's why it's like you said in the beginning, like find like between 1 and 3
Mm-hmm.
people that you really respect and follow them. You know.
All right.
Final question. This will be a multi-tiered one, but if you took away all the resources you had, all the money, everything, and you had to build $1 million business in under a year, what would you do and how would you do it?
I have one, but I don't want to say it because we have to do it in our lifetime. And you guys both know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
The DF.
Get rid of the resources, though. You have nothing.
Yeah, I don't think you need much resources there. Truly, I don't.
I think I would probably build a real estate portfolio of like cash flowing, like flipping and doing flips and then buying long, because you could become
Like
a
Burr
millionaire
method
quick.
style stuff.
Yeah, like so you don't necessarily need money to do it. You just need the drive and the experience. So if you only had a year, you didn't have any time to get the
year.
well, but you can build $1 million portfolio like pretty damn quick.
Yeah.
And then you could start having cash flowing properties that lead to more stabilized, like buy and hold properties, like pretty fucking quick. If you do it, my only thing about the year thing, it's like you need to have at least learn how to do it, like
Right.
experience, But I guess you could do it if you watch enough like YouTube videos. There's so many guys out there putting out content. So I would probably, scrape together the money to join a mastermind of someone who's doing the like flips, like Burr method, like our.
But he's
our
saying you
buddy
don't have the
Oz-
resources, so that's out.
Well, they're not that expensive. I mean, you
Yeah, I mean,
fucking
you
have like
knowledge, but just not like
you have like a couple grand potentially, like you could scrape together, right? Like you get it, get something. I would join either Austin's group, right? That's what he teaches. Austin Rutherford, who was on the show. I would join his group and I would learn exactly what he was doing, because they'll take you from start to finish, teach you the whole thing, and then I would fucking just absolutely hammer that. And within a year, you could have close to $1 million of assets and definitely enough cash flow to keep rolling.
I think if it's just about making a lot of money with speed, like in 1 year, some kind of wholesaling sales business.
Mm-hmm.
Because all you need to do is pick up the phone, and wholesaling deals, maybe wholesaling real estate.
Yeah.
Maybe it's selling something else, but you don't need the means to, do the installations or whatever it is that you're selling, but you're just getting a cut on the sales.
Yeah.
And then you're starting to build the foundation of a sales organization, and it can spin into anything.
Yeah. And even solar sales, right? So it's commission only. I mean, you can make $1 million a year in your first year if you fucking put the effort in.
Yeah.
Right.
Solar's a really interesting opportunity. What I would do, I would build a relationship with a couple web developers overseas that I built through like Fiverr or Upwork. And I would build some sort of like website building company tagged with marketing. I would teach myself YouTube to do ads, and I would be the ad person, because there's just so many people who need ads, dude. And if you're decent with sales and you really go out after it on LinkedIn and put yourself out there, you'll get accounts.
Mm-hmm.
If you can build a website through Fiverr and these guys, and you build these relationship with a couple guys overseas or Brazil, they build these unbelievable websites for like $400 US, and you upcharge it for $4, $5, $6, $10,000 US to clients around here. I think you can build $1 million profitable business within a year, no problem.
That's awesome.
That's a good one.
I like that. So now all you're doing is managing your team overseas. You're the front facing person
You're
for the
managing
customer here.
your team in Brazil, who is incredibly. I mean, dude, we've dealt with some of these guys. Incredible
Talent,
work.
yeah. For cheap.
Branding, logo, website building, and to find them here, overpriced and they're trash.
Right.
You build a really good reputation with your personal reputation in the U.S. You get your first couple of clients. After your first couple of clients, you give them crazy referral bonuses to get you more clients, and then you just build up. I think the exchange of what you pay for some of these developers and outside outsourced work overseas is just so great compared to what you're paying here. You can create huge margins and scale really fast.
Yeah, they have a name. Like a lot of the young gurus on YouTube are talking about that. Instead of like drop shipping, they're calling it drop services, or like drop service based business, where you could pick websites, ads, email, whatever. All they're doing is outsourcing the stuff, so they're not even touching it from the beginning.
Or secondary
gets dangerous.
one. Want to know what I would do? Create a fucking VA agency.
Yeah,
you
that's
get
booming.
you get 10 VAs that you built a relationship with. You get them on your own salary,
Mhm.
and then you outsource them out.
make
right.
a couple bucks an hour. On each
You
one.
make but it's not like, dude, you can charge $7.50 an hour, and you
Right.
charge them $2.50 an hour.
Right,
You make
as long as the
$5.
quality's there.
You make $5 an hour over 100 people working,
Mm-hmm.
and the working is things that everyone is eventually gonna go to.
Mm-hmm.
Customer service,
Mm-hmm.
Instagram DMing, outreach, all this stuff that is so annoying.
Mm-hmm.
And it hurts the margins of a business because you got to pay $20 minimum an hour to get someone decent for that. You pay fucking $1,000 a month.
Especially if you're bilingual, that's a huge opportunity. If
Yeah.
you can speak Spanish or Portuguese and English, and you can go there, you can start making contacts and getting
And
that
you
set
do it
up.
with no money. You have one friend who lives in Brazil, one friend who lives in Colombia from Thailand. You just get their friends. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the
Yeah.
most win-win. It's so easy to scale. I think you can build that first year million absolutely no problem if you have any set of nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You need nuts. That's the factor that
Yeah.
you can't.
Exactly. You have
You
to
can't
have
buy, you know?
Exactly. You have to have the will, but those are really two really good suggestions. That was good.
Final bonus question. If you guys, and this would be for each one of you, will give an answer, but if you had your own personal billboard where you could put one statement, saying, word, whatever, for the rest of your life, what would you want to put on that billboard? We'll start with you, Ange.
Start with the DF.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Just go order of.
start referring to myself in the third person.
Sure.
Don't give up ever. If you can't lose if you don't give up. Right? That's probably what I would do.
Yeah, simple.
This too shall pass is mine. So personal. It goes to everything. And you're in business, if you want to quit, if you're going through the worst of it in your personal life, like, pain's temporary. It all passes eventually, Sometimes you're in it, you think it's the fucking worst thing in the world. It'll pass, it'll get better.
Yeah. I think mine would be progress, not perfection.
Ooh, good one.
Solid.
Right?
Love that one.
Just focus on progress, not perfection. As long as you're moving forward, you're going in the right direction.
I like that one.
I love that.
That's all the questions I got.
What's the time at?
40
We're at
minutes.
37.
Wow,
That's good.
that's good.
That seems like the time.
How many people are going to take what I just said, you think, and do that company?
I hope
almost,
they do.
I
hope they
almost
do.
want to do it.
Yeah,
I
do
think
it.
that's a popular one going on in the Twitter world right now. Everybody's
Is
trying
it?
to do this.
Yeah.
That's like the number one thing with the
Damn.
landing pages specifically, because like landing pages, like they're charging.
Bro,
Yeah,
time
that's
out.
what I was, that's what I was
Time
saying,
out.
man.
Just build landing pages.
hold on. This company is
Not
charging
just this company, everyone that is like semi decent.
$5,000 for a landing
That was
page.
$2,500 for one of them, and then the
What
other
was
For
one-
one page?
For one landing
What?
page. And people are paying it. You want to know why? Because they're fear mongering. Okay, your landing page is going to be decent, but it's not going to get the conversions.
It's not going to convert.
Right.
So if you're
Yeah.
spending $30,000 a month, you're not going to convert. If this one, you're going to get 3x the conversions. It's going to justify the spend.
Right.
It's true and rational,
Right.
but how much more, dude?
It's true.
5,000 a fucking landing
No,
page.
it is true.
dude.
You
That's
could have a
obnoxious.
shitty landing page and literally not convert.
But
So
they're
I-
charging so much that you're like, Jesus, maybe this thing's worth it.
Exactly.
Maybe this
So our landing pages, dude, we pay like $300,
Mm-hmm.
and they're decent. So there's two things. We know what we probably should do. Buy that one landing page. See how it's structured.
We're going to buy it now?
Hold on, listen.
you can already see-
see how it's structured. then
see how it's
that's
structured, and
it.
then give it to our guys to
You don't need to
recreate
do
it for
that, though.
every fucking industry
Right.
that was.
Assuming it's good.
You don't need to buy the landing page though, because like the structures of those people that that have those companies put out content on the structure that they do it, but they have the team of copywriters and designers and stuff
Yeah.
to put it together in a way that brands go to because they
Dude,
just do it.
copywriting
Yeah, copy.
in
Yeah.
2023 was important. 2024 and 25 is going to be majorly important.
Why is that?
Yeah.
Because
for sure.
brand elements, dude. Brand elements, you can see brand in images, you can, but you can feel it when you read it.
Hmm.
It's like when you read a good author versus a bad author, or when you resonate with a good author compared to, why do you like this book more than the other person? Because this person's writing style is a certain way.
Hmm.
The way you articulate your brand
Yeah.
is so important. The words you use, and it's so minute that someone who's not in the industry wouldn't really notice it. But once you pick up on it, you're like, whoa.
And even the way like Facebook algorithm work, it's all about like the targeting right now is all about the copy and the content, right?
Yeah, it changed last year, 2 years
Creative
ago.
does the targeting, yeah.
Yeah, that the
all
creative and
consolidated.
the copy is like directing.
And the
where-
landing page.
Oh, really?
Facebook will scan the landing page too to direct the traffic where it's going. So if you on your landing page say like fitness, it's going to automatically be like, we're going to fitness people.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's probably our next hire, honestly.
What?
Is a copywriter.
Yeah, or someone unbelievable.
But dude, if you're just like a full-time copywriter, you just got to like write things like a couple times a
You
day.
know how hard it
usually
is?
it's like they're doing
Yeah,
Dude,
but
I'm like a
subcontract,
copy. I
you
can
know.
fucking write copy.
I don't think you don't need to be full time. That could be remote.
It's
Yeah.
very, very, but to get the right one, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like when I read like a dog brand, and just the way that they're articulating it and the way that it matches up with their fonts, and it matches up with like the design and stuff and their pictures, it
Right.
all comes together. Because you can have a great copywriter, but a shitty creative.
Right.
Or shitty
you
copy.
could
I've heard
hack
a lot
that
of
a
people using AI for copy now.
Right.
You can.
Is that a thing?
You can,
It's
but
not
it
as-
doesn't. If you do it after a while, it'll probably learn your voice, but it takes a while for it to really like learn your voice.
The copywriters that you're talking about though, they write sales letters. So when you go to like the coaches, like a lot of the gurus and coaches that are selling programs, they're hiring these copywriters who work for an agency or they have their own, where they're actually writing like paragraphs and pages of sales copy where it's like introducing like this new product and stuff like that. But like that's like the realm of like high paying because they're directly building these funnels for like Ty Lopez and guys like that will hire a copywriter. I'm actually taking a course though for anybody that wants to talk about copywriting. Taking a course right now from the guy Sam Parr that started The Hustle, sold it for HubSpot. It was
I'm a big
newsletter.
fan of that guy.
Yeah,
dude.
he is a good product.
Sold it.
I love
for-
that company. I think that I'm surprised there's not more of those going around.
That's like the new. There's a lot of them popping up, but he sold it to HubSpot for like 30, 40 million, and he has this copywriting course, which this technique is called. He calls it copy that. It's not his like concept. Like Ben Franklin did it too, but I'm going through it right now. It's like 14 days or something where the technique is each day is a new like blog post or sales letter that was like really top tier, beautiful copywriting, and you have to write it down by hand, rewrite it. So every day you're writing like a top sales letter by hand. And what it does is Ben Franklin did this too, is like as soon as you keep writing in the beginning, you're kind of getting used to the flow of like this amazing writing. And after day 2, you keep going. And by the end of it, you're in your head is like you've kind of understand, just like playing music is the idea. In the beginning, you copy other people's music. You're playing like Beethoven. And then after that, you learn something else. Then you start to do your own twist. And then at the end, you're kind of coming up with your own kind of concept. And the same goes for copywriting. You're just training
It's kind of
your
a
brain.
mind fuck. It's like
Yeah,
it's
that's
like
crazy.
it's like muscle memory, but then more like creative.
Yeah.
flow.
I gave a speech once in college. I bummed a speech. It was in a public speaking course, and my roommate was a copywriter, and he was a pretty good public speaker. I took his speech and used it in my course. I felt like I couldn't even speak because they're not your words.
Because
you
the
know?
flow was so.
But if I did what you're saying, wrote it down every day for a week or repeated
And
every
then
now,
did
now
it?
you're learning, you know?
yeah.
Yeah, you don't really need a full-time copywriter unless you
No,
have like a certain
part-time.
business, but you just need them to do like
Definitely
your
not
emails
full-time.
or your
You
landing
need a
pages.
part time and you need like a one time fee. Like we need someone to just go on our website and just
Per
fucking
word or something
rehaul
like
Yeah.
the whole thing,
Yeah.
and then
That's
I'm
why the
actually
landing
working
pages
on
are
it with
expensive.
mom right now.
Oh.
On her website,
that. It's the copywriting where it's
because the site's done, and I'm
Who's going to do the copy?
I'm like, dude, like, am you gonna do the copy?
Yeah.
yeah,
You know,
right.
so I'm trying to push her to say, I think you need, but she's fucking cheap with that stuff. But I'm like, I
Yeah.
think you need to.
The right
Like,
copywriter can
you could-
change the
yeah,
business.
maybe find one on Fiverr or something. And
That's what I'm thinking about. But
No,
so,
not
yeah,
five.
she's-
Like a, there's like on Twitter you can find like really good ones. Everybody's trying to be a copywriter now. There's this new trend of ghostwriting that's out right now, which is essentially learning copywriting, but then you're writing for other personal brands and content. So like you're going to like a CEO of
But
a big
eventually
company.
those guys are subbing out to Fiverr guys. That's
No,
like
not
I
the
think-
copywriting.
I
No.
think they are. I think these huge it's like
No.
anything, dude.
No.
Like you pay these huge agencies.
Nope.
You pay
Nope.
these huge
Dude,
agencies.
Fiverr is like the bottom barrel
Nope.
of the stuff. These guys,
No,
CEOs
whether-
need
whether
top tier writers
Off-
to write
I'm
their
saying
content.
Fiverr, but
Yeah.
it could be anyone offshore.
Yeah, but yeah, okay. It doesn't have to be offshore though. Just to be like, if you're CEO of Forbes or whatever, a big company, McDonald's, you don't have time to write LinkedIn content. They're not writing their own content. They're paying these ghostwriters, just like you pay a ghostwriter to write like a book. Will Smith, for example's biography was not written by Will Smith. It was written by Mark Manson, who wrote the book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. It was ghostwritten. So like all these big celebrities are paying these ghostwriters that you don't know to do that. And now they're trying to sell this as like the new like service-based business. Become a ghostwriter, make like $10K a month writing for other personal brands and coaches and copy that don't have enough time.
Isn't that the same as a copywriter?
Yeah, it's part of the thing, but you have to learn like copywriting. Copywriting is just selling with words. So like if you can use that for personal brand stuff, you can use that for emails, landing pages, whatever. But copywriting is just the art of learning how to sell with written word.
I see.
Cool.
That was good.
Yeah.
All right, so if you got value from today's episode, please share. The only way we can build this podcast is to share it. So please share, tell a friend, do what you got to do, tag us. If you have topics that you want to hear us talk about, shoot any one of us a DM or the Behind the Rides page right on Instagram. Shoot us a DM, hit Costa up, or any one of us, and we'll get your questions answered. Have a good week.